Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton.
And I'm Mantis.
And today we are going to discuss, because it is New Year's Day, at least at the time of recording, maybe a few days before it releases, but we are discussing what the DCU is going to look like in 2026. Mantis, are you ready to get on into the discussion?
Let's go, old anxiety.
All right. Uh, sure. Let's go. All right, guys. So obviously, we've done several videos in the past few weeks about where the DCU is heading. One should be releasing here within the next about 34 minutes, again, from the time of recording. But there's been some announcements made over the past couple of days about what we can expect to take place in 2026 from co-CEO of DC Studios, Peter Safran here. And Mantis, do you kind of want to go over, at least for starters, what was kind of said, and then we can kind of break it down?
Yeah. Realistically, we've already talked. Everyone knows Supergirl's coming out this year, in roughly 6 months. We know Clayface is on the docket for this year as well. However, there are some issues. Apparently, I was under the impression, I think you were too, that we were going to get lanterns in early 2026. So that I was thinking first quarter, so maybe January, February. But as we found out here recently, that window they moved. So the Supergirl film is going to be, that's not moving, at least as far as yet. Now we've discussed previously, I think they're going to move it back. It maybe not that much, but like a little bit based off of what's releasing that same week. But with Lanterns now targeting late summer, that kind of lays out in line with how HBO likes to do its original series. And being that Lanterns is an original series, they're traditionally slotted on that premium Sunday night window. And so they wanted Lanterns to be in that spot. So that's what they're doing here. We're going to get in 2026, we're getting Supergirl, we're getting the Clayface horror movie, and we're getting Lanterns series on HBO. They moved that back to a little bit later, which would be Supergirl June 26th, Clayface on September 11th, and then assuming right there around that time they're going to release the series, the HBO original series Lanterns.
So yeah, a little bit, because we were initially thinking we would have the Lantern series in the first quarter, and then we would have kind of mid-year, we would have Supergirl, and then we would get Clayface towards the back half, the last quarter ish, kind of close, which will kind of divide things up. And now it seems like we're going to go a full 6 months before we have anything else DCU related, and then the back half of the year is just going to be kind of packed with, we'll have the Supergirl movie, and then in and around the same time we'll have Clayface and Lanterns and all that, which is okay. I mean, that's fine. The only thing we will deal with, which gives us good videos, is that we've got 6 months of bullshit. Like they just had more James Gunn, or not James Gunn, but Zack Snyder releasing Superman stuff, and just those little nuggets just to keep the fire going of people so divided on the Superman issue, right? And that's going to keep happening, because right now we don't have any other Superman news. We're waiting. They did just announce the guy that's going to play Brainiac. And I'll say, it's kind of personal note, it's annoying for Mantis and I, because we did a full video on Brainiac as far as like who we think he should have been, what the rumors were. And before we even got it out, then they fucking trashed that and said, well, and James Gunn said, well, I'd never confirmed that Brainiac is going to be the main villain in it. And then they announced who this guy is. And it was like
days later.
Yeah. So we had deleted the video because we're like, well, fuck, that just ruined that. And then they announced Brainiac is going to be in it and who the guy is. So he's been a bit of a douche, but we know that's what happened with Superman, right? We were that 6 month out. Everybody, all these rumors were getting speculated. That's what we're going to deal with for these next 6 months. Great for us, gives us video topics, because we're going to cover all of the news, the rumors that he debunks or maybe confirms, and what he says. Just like we did with Superman, we'll be there to confirm it for you guys. But I will say, it one thing that worries me is the kind of the remarks, or at least the thought process behind this year. Well, at least the two movies that are going to come out this year. And Mantis, do you kind of want to go over what that is?
Well, yeah, yeah. Like we
Really
said,
quick.
the slate of 2026 is set right now. I mean, it's Supergirl, Clayface, and Lanterns. That's it. They started off last year with some Creature Commandos going into to Superman,
And then
and
Peacemaker.
yeah, I mean they're kind of following the same kind of thing here. But here's the thing: Warner Brothers. I mean, Superman is not Supergirl, and it's not Clayface. It's not Lanterns. That's your main thing, right? Like I would have expected to kind of plan something a little bit, maybe a couple more movies or two series this year, but that's all we're getting is Supergirl, Clayface, and Lanterns. And a couple reports come out that Warner Brothers, and I mean, even it's not even a report. You can look at it. You can look at how they view these. They're not. They're viewing this year and these things as fillers. Like, we're not. They're not expecting Supergirl to be a hit. They're not expecting Clayface to fucking be a box office hit. No one is. They're not expecting Lanterns to be a big thing. Although I think that may end up being the biggest success of the three. But
I
I'm
do
sure
too.
you were, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of lines up with everything we've seen, even just not Clayface, because there's not been much reporting on it. It's not been, at least that I've saw or heard, that it's been teased or screened. But we've seen that with Supergirl, and there's been backlash to the trailer. There's been poor test screenings. As we saw with Superman, yeah, as we saw with Superman this past year, it did not perform well in overseas markets at all.
China
Which
especially.
Yeah, which is not good, So they're kind of. I don't know if this is just the studio putting out vibes, and they put out little tidbits here, little tidbits there, that we don't really look at these films to try and like lower the bar to the public and us. Like, we're not expecting these to do great, so when they don't be surprised. Well, that when reports come out and they see how either one, it overperforms their expectations, and they're like, oh, this is a great thing, everyone's excited. And if it doesn't do well, they're like, well, see, we told you. We didn't expect it. We told you before, we didn't expect it to do well. So that's, these are just fillers. So I think we're trying to giving, the quote is giving DC getting a bit of a pass because the expectations have been so low. And Marvel, they whiffed way even worse than the DCU did with Captain America: Brave New World. Although, I mean, you said Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts probably. I say this. I don't know. I have the numbers, but I think it had better reception than the other two.
Thunderbolts
It's-
is now, keep in mind, it didn't cost anywhere near what Captain America 4 did to make, but Thunderbolts still didn't perform super well in theaters, but it did once it came to streaming and paid and free streaming, the numbers shot up, right? Because a lot of people were just
mm,
like, oh, this, I'm not going to go see it, whatever. But then people started doing reactions and reviews of it. And then
mm,
people were like, oh, shit, let me go watch it. So it did very, very well on streaming.
mm.
And whether it was paid or not, and I don't have the numbers on how many people got subscriptions so they could go watch Thunderbolts, but the hype definitely grew exponentially once it actually left the theaters.
Yeah, and again, if WB doesn't believe that Supergirl or Clayface are strong enough to make movement, like progress forward backward, it's like, what are we doing here? What is WB doing?
What is she doing? I never know what she's doing back there.
I mean, this can't be part of the big plan, but it's like, I put this in my notes. Like, I hate using this old trope, but it's like, if you're not moving forward, then you're moving backwards. And I just don't see. I mean, even WB said it. They don't see Supergirl or Clayface as moving forward. It's almost like we're just trying to keep the status quo, maybe, keep people mildly interested, but we're not taking any big risks.
Well, if you remember back in the day, and I say back in the day, let's even go back into the like late 90s, early 2000s and such, right? You would have a movie come out, and then you're like, even if you knew there was going to be a sequel, you were 2 to 3 years out for that sequel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. You waited until that sequel. It's kind of like the last season of Stranger Things. We just waited until it came out, right? Now it's like, oh, while that's coming out, we got to release some kind of animated show, and we got to release another filler movie. We have to have like, so we're going to be 2 years almost to the week within a week out from the second Superman movie. Well,
Mhm.
we can't let that time go. We got to fill it with something. So we're going to do Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and we're going to do Clayface, which I love Clayface as a villain. And I think the way they're going to do him, and it'd be more of a horror thing, I think that's going to be awesome. And I think a lot of other people actually do like Clayface. Let us know down in the comments, are you team Clayface or not? But I don't think, like, haven't even had your second movie yet, and you're saying the second one's going to be filler. I think is kind of a stupid move.
Yeah, it's
It
worrying.
doesn't need to be filler. It needs to be tie-ins. How you're going to maybe bring the rest of the universe. Now, if you have in there at some point where, because obviously this is going to be the time before we saw her, or at least I would assume, maybe it's not, but before what happened on in the Superman movie, right? Like, we're going to get backstory at least of what happened. Now, whether or not
Could be.
the current time in the movie is before Superman 2025, or this is after, say, she leaves with Crypto, right? At the
Mhm.
end of that movie and all that. So we're going to get then that story of going on there. Maybe towards the end of it, the Green Lantern Corps comes in to help, right? And then that sets up lanterns.
Mm.
Something like that. Cool. You could use that. Yeah, she's never going to be your super main hero, so she's kind of a afterthought. But I think calling it filler and having that expectation, being that's your second movie and second, third movie, really, and next TV show, I feel like that's just kind of a dumb move this early on. You don't want fillers, right? This isn't like back in the day when we watched Smallville and you had 24 episodes a season and you only had a 3 or 4 month break before you got the next season. Yeah, there were some filler episodes and we can all
Mhm.
point them out. We all know which ones
Yeah.
were filler, right?
Yeah.
It's like we don't have the time for filler. We need
Yeah.
everything that's connecting everything, especially when you got Marvel getting ready to step into Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I think, if what I've been reading is true, they're going to fall flat on their face in Secret Wars anyway, so we're not worried about that.
Yeah, and again, the first 6 months of this year, there's nothing there. There's nothing.
That's the other
So there,
thing.
if you're gonna, and again, I don't know if I misquoted it earlier in this video. WB didn't say it was filler. Some people reporting on it said it was filler. The way they're approaching it, and I agree with you. Like, if I'm WB, especially you're given this, like, you need to have a plan. And I'm not saying it needs to be a fucking 10-year thing like Marvel did, but like, you need to start ramping shit up. You started off big, with Superman. You swung for the fences on that first one, which I totally agreed with. You need to start everything off with a bang. It needs to be your main flagship there. But you need to start bringing in some of the other primary members, and it can't be, well, it's lanterns. It's not really a lantern movie. It's kind of a show about a lot of the lanterns, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's cool. But where's Batman? Where's Wonder Woman?
You
Where's the
say that.
Flash?
So James Gunn also did announce that the search for a Wonder Woman has begun. Now, he has also said he wants a Wonder Woman that is taller than Superman and Batman. So he wants a bigger
Interesting.
one. Now, that is interesting because in the comics, her height's varied. And supposedly
Sure.
the Amazons, again, I wasn't around the time of the Amazons in real life, but they weren't like crazy tall. I mean, I think they had them at like 5'8" and 5'9". And in the original comics, Wonder Woman was around that. And I think now the current incantation after Rebirth, she's at like 6'2". But David
Mhm.
Cornsweat's 6'4", right? So, and whoever you
Yeah.
get for Batman, if you get Alan Richardson, he's 6'3", 6'4", big old jacked motherfucker, right? Which I'm just saying that because I think he should be Batman. So you have to find a woman. If you want a taller woman, you have to find an actress that can look the part, but also act, right? You can't just say, "Hey, I'm going to put this tall woman in. I'm always going to use these." It's like always you need a muscular person back in the 80s and 90s. You chose Arnold, right? Didn't matter if you could hardly understand him. He was your go-to. Well, you can't just do that nowadays. Like, people want to see somebody who's right for the part. Now, there are things you can do, like they do with Tom Cruise, how they make him, he's standing next to Henry Cavill, and they look. Henry Cavill's 6'2", almost 6'3". Tom Cruise is like 5'7" in real life. I mean, that's not a joke. He's like 5'7", 5'8". They made him look the same height. There are camera tricks you can do.
Yeah.
But he has said, while he wants that, he is not going to just choose a tall actress for the sake of having her be tall. He wants the
Yeah.
right woman for the right part.
Yeah, that's to me that falls in. I mean, it's like DEI. It's like, oh, it's well because I mean, I get if you can find it's like having your cake and eat it too. If you can find someone that is a good actress and she happens to be tall, that's awesome. But your first priority should be someone who can play the role correctly. If she's tall, that's great. If not, in my opinion, if great, if not, then oh well. Like we can fucking fix it with editing or camera placement, stuff like that. Because I would rather see someone who is competent in the role, knows what they're doing, can act, than someone who's well, she's tall.
Well, then you run into the same thing with like Gal Gadot, right? Like, obviously, she's an amazing looking Wonder Woman because she's just drop dead gorgeous.
She
But
looks
then
like one. She looks like Wonder Woman.
she looks
Yeah.
like Wonder Woman, but then you run into those like Kal-El, no, you know,
Yeah.
like
Kal-El, no.
that
Like,
people
what?
fucking hate, right? Like there are certain,
Yeah.
you know, there are certain moments in the acting that you're just like, oh my god, and those stand out more than all the good she did in say the original Wonder Woman, because I thought the original
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was awesome, but you have those that then that's what people go off of, right? Is the
Yeah.
and she's had some other missteps in her acting as well too. I mean, everybody does. Like, I mean, fuck, Natalie Portman did. I thought in episode 3, I thought some of the acting was terrible in there, and I love her. She's probably one of my favorite, you know, actresses. But you're breaking my heart. That whole scene was just garbage.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
sure
know the
did.
younger generation
George-
now puts episode 3 at like number 1. We still don't.
I put that as George Lucas just doesn't know how to write a relationship unless it's a father and son.
Well,
thing. Don't
even
get
the
me wrong, love
acting
George
in the
Lucas.
scene, I've seen Natalie Portman do serious, like real heart wrenching acting. It's been better than that. I just feel like she didn't want to be in that. So,
I don't. Yeah, I don't
Like,
blame her.
I don't
That's
either.
part of that movie's that whole fight scene, you know, at the end with between Obi-Wan. Anyway, we're getting off track on
We
here.
are.
But yeah, you know, yeah.
But the point is, so we know he's searching for a Wonder Woman. Okay, we had been waiting on that because obviously the big ones in the DCEU he had yet to announce, like who's going to be Batman, Flash, or what's going to happen with Aquaman now, because now we got Aquaman coming in as Lobo, you know, and what we would hope is going to be a decent sized part. It's not sounding like it's going to be the biggest role, which again, if you watch the Supergirl video where we talk about in the trailer and we do some other discussion on it there, may or may not hurt things as well in regards to, again,
Yeah.
the direction that the DCU is heading for this year. But I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. We are going to be doing a video. I keep holding it up here because we are going to be doing a video on the Woman of Tomorrow storyline, what it's about, so that people who have not read this is a pretty thick fucking storyline of this here. But so you will know without having to read it if you don't want to, kind of what's going on in there, and then everybody can kind of formulate their own guesses as to how that's going to tie into the Superman movie and to this whole new interconnected world or universe, I should say. I won't say world because she's not on Earth for most of it. So
yeah, there's some stuff in there. It'd be interesting to see how they either adapt some of it or if they kind of just don't even put it in there. There's some wild stuff that happens that's, you know.
Well, and I think a lot of it too is because this wasn't written necessarily to be tied into how the Superman movie was, right?
No. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you're going to tie it into that, and what's also going to happen, you're going to have to take some liberties, right? You're going to have to add or take away some things. Hell, even the addition of Lobo and several things in there. And that's where I think maybe, and I'd be okay with it if like we see some part of Brainiac, like while she's out doing her own thing, that's what attracts Brainiac to come to Earth. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, because in that story, they go clear across the galaxy trying to hunt for the, Krem. So, you're going to run into certain things, certain people, and the universe knows of the Kryptonians. Now, they don't know of all of them, but they know of Kal-El and Kara. They do know of them too. So it's not a secret that there's Kryptonians out there, and Brainiac getting a hint of it, maybe hiring Lobo to find them or whatever. Who knows how that's going to kind of intertwine there? Because Lobo and Brainiac are not a part of the original story of Supergirl Woman Tomorrow.
Well,
but you could put it in there.
And I say, because and I said this during when we did the trailer reaction, also go check that out. Where it looked like to me, I was like, I thought he was it looked like they were bottling the city of Kandor. Obviously that's one of the big tropes is the last city of Kandor gets bottled. So clearly, if you have the last city of Kandor bottled, and you're like, oh, this is the last of the Kryptonian race, but there's other Kryptonians out there. I'm like, okay, now my value of this city has gone down, right? What is the resale value if I go to sell this bottled city if there are other Kryptonians out there? So I got to kill them, and that's going to bring my value back up, right? Because that's what it is. He's got his collectibles, but they
Supply and
aren't worth
demand,
as much if this is still out here.
Yeah.
So when he goes to the intergalactic, flea market or Comic-Con and he wants to sell his bottled city of Kandor, it's not worth as much, right? It's all about value, right? And I don't know if they're using caps or whatever the preferred method of payment is out there in the universe. Based off of The Woman of Tomorrow, it looks like you could see some kind of either Borderlands or Fallout vibe, Wastelander vibes of they're using caps, right? But
yeah, Brigadiers are, they're basically raiders, so it falls in line.
So that's kind of where we are at right now, right? And now we play the waiting game because we have to wait and see what news is going to pop up over these next 6 months, right? Because we have till June. We literally have just rolled into January 1st. So, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of James Gunn supposedly says something. People take it out of context. They misread, misreport, all of that crazy shit. Same thing again, like what we had with Superman. And we are going to be here for all of it. We will be bringing it to you as fast as is humanly possible. But guys, we also do have a lot going on in the comic book world too. And I'm excited to see if some of that's going to eventually tie in together because as you know, and as we've done many, many videos on, James Gunn has said he wants the animated like we've seen with Creature Commandos. He wants the TV like we're seeing with Lanterns and Peacemaker, the movies and the comic books and even the games, if they can ever put out a good one, to all be tied in together. So since we have this massive event right now going on, like with the KO event and everything else going on in both absolute and regular right now, will some of this get tied into the DCU? I'm really hoping it will.
It's so good. There's a lot of pieces of it, but you guys, you need to check it out. We've got videos all on the KO event. We've got it all in the absolute. They're all in playlists. This is why you need to have the bell notification. Because if you don't, you're not going to know when we release a new. Which this past week there was 7 issues we did videos on. 7. So they're right in line. All you got to do is be subscribed, hit the bell notification so that you know when we release one of that stuff.
Now, keep in mind, we're a small channel still. We're still growing. So I can't just drop 7 videos within a day and a half, right? We already did all of the work to go through them and discuss them and break them down for you guys. But obviously, I'm going to release them kind of in a more digestible form. So like right now, we're doing like every other day. Instead of about 12 minutes, we got one video releasing about more DCU news, and then every other day we're trying to release one for you guys. So I know it's like sucks because it's like, oh, these came out last week. Well, we had 7, so we kind of had to break it up a little bit. Whereas this week we had none. Well, I take that back. Our comic book store has them, those fuckers. They're just holding on to them until next week. I did try to go get them. Yeah. So
almost got out with it too.
Very, very. She was almost to the counter. That cock blocking bitch. Our say comic blocking bitch. That didn't happen. But we will also continue to bring those out for you as well too. And as Mantis says, when you have the bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted to when we release them. And guys, we do also appreciate everybody who's taken time here lately to comment as well as subscribe. But we cannot forget our old subscribers there too. We do appreciate all of you guys. We try to bring this content out to you, and sometimes we work on the length of time. Sometimes they run a little bit longer, but we have a lot to discuss. And then I get off the rails sometimes. We'll let that go. But we do thank you guys. We do appreciate it. And Mantis, do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right. Then that is going to wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC New Year's edition, although it's not going to come out for a few days. So until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Later.
Oh,